Good morning, everybody. Thank you to Estonian Entrepreneurship University and Applied Sciences for inviting me here to discuss these important topics. I'm not a policymaker, or I am a policymaker, but I was not prepared as policymaker. Before I joined the ministry, I served as a professor in materials engineering. So I have also a perspective as an educator, as a researcher, and on a daily basis I care for policy domains starting from vocational education, higher education, and research and development policies for Estonia. But today I'm talking about how to bridge general and vocational education, why core skills matter, or do they matter at all. But let's start with a little bit of context. So there has been a lot of talk about how fast world changes, and I guess everybody here recognizes that this pace has been becoming more and more faster. It's a challenge on all aspects for learners, for schools, for systems, educational systems, and nobody actually knows the very right answer. But for the world, for Europe, and for Estonia, the fact that we are going from one crisis to next has been something we have become used with in the recent years, starting if to go back COVID, the military aggression against Ukraine, which has shaped a lot our recent policies. But this is not all. Of course, the climate crisis, which affects everybody on this globe, digital disruption, and demographic shifts, which we see especially in the what we refer as old Europe. For Estonia, the declining youth cohorts are a very serious challenge. So we have an aging population in Estonia. And what do we do with it? So we have to somehow cope with it, adapt ourselves with it, and rely on evidence-based policies. And we have introduced in Estonia what we refer as OSKA. OSKA means also in Estonian to know how to, but it refers to workforce prediction system we have introduced some 10 years ago. And so far this OSKA system has served us exceptionally well. What we were dealing before introducing OSKA was that employers approached the policymakers and presenting their expectations. That is the case also today, but thanks to this workforce prediction system, we have much better quantitative and qualitative data on the actual needs. So we can adjust our training system, our schooling system appropriately, which we should do even better, but that's the best what we have today. But now, what are the core skills? According to International Labour Organization, the core skills are defined as the ability to learn and to adapt, read, write, and compute competently, listen and communicate effectively, think creatively, solve problems independently, manage oneself at work, interact with co-workers, work in teams or groups, handle at least basic technology, and lead effectively or follow supervision. So these are, it's a full list of expectations which our our people should comply with. And although as a statement, I guess we all agree that these skills are important, it's even more difficult to address this expectation and to make sure that every individual in our society would be equipped with these skills. So a few words about Estonian sorry, let me go back. For some reason, there is a missing slide, but let me give you just briefly a few facts. Estonia is not a big country. We are a small nation. We have about 170,000 students in our system, 17,000 teachers, a bit more than 500 schools. In VET, the vocational education system, we have currently 27,600 students, a bit more than 2,000 teachers, and there are 30 institutions. So 500 schools and 30 VET institutions, vocational education institutions. And in higher education, we have currently about 45,000 students, altogether 18 institutions, among them 6 public universities and 1 private university. Now, what we have in this slide is presenting what changes we are currently adopting in our Estonian educational system. So there are 6 major reforms currently going on. And let me just emphasize a few of them. The first and most important, I would say, after Estonia became the member of NATO and EU, the third most important reform or change in Estonia is transition to Estonian language school. So until today, we have been running 2 parallel educational systems, school for Estonian kids and then school for provisioning education in Russian. Now, this transition to Estonian language of instruction is a major challenge to the Estonian educational system. But then there are some others, like extending the compulsory learning age. This was actually accepted in Estonian society with good understanding. And actually this is a manifestation, or it actually tells us that people do understand that in these days we should spend more, not just spend more time in the school, but actually learn more. So it's not enough to leave with basic education, and this is not enough to be competitive in the following years in work. We also changed radically our vocational education, but I'm going to talk about that a bit later. A change I haven't mentioned yet is what we refer as the AI leap. So some of you probably know that Estonia made a quite successful transition in the late 90s, early 2000s, and we became a digital nation. Digital nation as such became possible because of what we refer as Tiger Leap. At that time, this meant actually equipping all schools with computers connected to internet and providing access to computers, this access to all kids and teachers, and many other things as well. But actually, this laid a foundation to at least moderate success. But now we are preparing ourselves to the next leap, and like it is with every radical change, we cannot ever be fully prepared to this. Anyway, the AI leap at current stage means that we should be able as a society to not only to satisfy with AI as a tool, but actually make use of it and actually redefine our educational system in a way that it could really provide maximum efficiency to ourselves as humans. There is a big question: what is left for human if all simple tasks are automated or humans can be substituted? And we believe that our task is to cultivate these skills that can be integrated with technology while emphasizing the human dimension of judgment, providing meaning and purpose. And implementation of AI consists a number of activities, equipping schools with appropriate tools, training teachers, and in general developing AI literacy in the society. As this is something where different countries have very different approach on educational policy, we as a policymakers have created a high-level advisory board to Ministry of Education and Research, what we refer as AI Council, and actually these policies are very much shaped following the recommendations of AI Council, consisting prominent researchers, scientists in Estonia. Now, I would like to cover a little bit of the results of PIAC studies. The PIAC, as we know, measures the competencies of adults, where PISA, which is perhaps better known, measures and compares the skills of young learners. Now, PIAC study was recently conducted in Estonia, and of course every country looks, or I guess everybody here looks how well the countries perform. Indeed, this can work as a good stimulus to policymakers. What we have seen before, if a country finds, especially it works for politicians. When a country finds itself as a low-performing country, then it usually makes also people think what to do with it, and also the countries who perform above average are actually intrigued with it, and we as policymakers, of course, ask ourselves what can we do better and to make our people perform better. Now, Estonia performs somewhat above the EU OECD average in all skill domains: literacy, numeracy, and problem solving. But it's very serious challenge that we are facing are growing skill gaps between age groups. And it's important to note that 1 out of 5 working age adults still have weak literacy skills, which indeed can significantly limit their opportunities in labor market in everyday life. And it's important to note that these core skills, which are measured using this PIAC studies, are not just academic assets, they are economic assets. Investing in these skills is a key to prepare people for changing labor market and ensuring that no one is actually left behind. Now, I mentioned already skill gap. Unfortunately, Estonia shows one of the largest generation gaps in literacy and numeracy among OECD countries. And well, we may say it's interesting, but it's actually very serious that if you compare the age group 25 to 35, they perform significantly better than the age group of 55 to 65, which I guess intuitively we also could anticipate, but it shows that we need to invest significantly more into the skills, maintaining the skill set in the older age groups. And what we learned also from the PIAC studies is that despite relatively strong average performance, many adults, actually 1/4, report lacking the skills needed for their jobs. So people actually feel that there are insufficient skills. And about 50% of the respondents feel underskilled digital competencies, and this is identified as the main gap. Now, the PIAC survey shows that Estonian adults perform significantly above the European average, but this mismatch I just described needs very targeted interventions to strengthen these critical competencies. And what it also showed, or actually the OSCA I referred before, confirmed that employers don't see the biggest gaps in technical or professional expertise, but in general skills, like analytical thinking, communication, collaboration, and self-management. And these are very much the skills that help people to adapt, actually solve problems, and work efficiently. And this is regardless of the particular field they are working. And that is exactly why all the educational reforms must prioritize the development of core competencies. Now, the OSCA employer's perspective. And again, the OSCA studies show that transversal skills are absolutely vital. The employers value transversal skills and highlight the need for teamwork, problem solving, and adaptability. Now, the employers across various sectors emphasize the importance of strong core skills, and that is regardless of specific industry. Whether in manufacturing, healthcare, or services, a solid foundation in core competencies is essential. If I would provide an example, then in healthcare especially, there is a growing need for people or for nurses and other healthcare professionals who can effectively use digital solutions and communicate with good empathy with patients and with very diverse backgrounds. So the cross-sectoral message reinforces the idea that core skills are universally valuable and must be well integrated on all educational pathways. The core skills are actually the bridge between general education and vocational education, and they also support lifelong learning and career flexibility. And in Estonia, the educational system has maintained a separation between gymnasiums with focus on general skills and then vocational schools which emphasize professional skills. There is like two parallel pathways, and that is very similar to many countries in Europe and in the world. And we see that this distinction is increasingly unreasonable in the context of future labor market, where all individuals require a certain blend of both skill sets. And what we see internationally and also in Estonia, that weak core competencies or core skills can hinder the application and development of professional competencies, making very difficult for individuals to succeed in the chosen fields. And therefore, the education must evolve to provide not only the technological or technical knowledge, but also learning capacity, social interaction, and communication skills. And that is the bridge we are now trying to build with our educational reforms to create more cohesive, more effective educational system. Now, what are the links between our own OSCA and the international OECD PIAC studies? OSCA emphasizes through employers that, or OSCA studies show that our employers demand transversal skills. PIAC tells us that persistent adult skill gap, that there are persistent adult skill gaps, and the shared message is that general and core skills are absolutely crucial. With these parallel systems I described, it is a challenge for our VET graduates to continue in further learning. But we see that only 1 out of 10 is continuing in higher education, and that is obviously not enough. And why do they? What are the obstacles? Why don't they continue in higher education? It's not that they don't want. The challenge for the academic secondary education graduates, the challenge for VET graduates is that they obtained general skills are very insufficient to continue in higher education, whereby in general upper secondary, the graduates experience difficulties to enter into actual work life, and their employability, as they don't have any specific skills, is insufficient, poor. So just as a fact, a large number of academic secondary education graduates does not continue with further education. In Estonia, it's about 60%, and this has to change. And we need to redefine our educational system on upper secondary level. And what we see is, as a future, is a unified upper secondary education system that could ensure all students acquire strong general skills while also pursuing specific professional orientations. And such system would enhance transition opportunities between different levels of education and also transition, a swift transition to labor market. Well, perhaps I will say a few words also on or what is actually the content of vocational reforms. We try to simplify our educational system, make it more transparent, more understandable, and learner-friendly. And again, the core component of this reform is the emphasis on developing core skills within vocational training, ensuring that graduates are prepared to continue their studies, or at least bigger share of the graduates would be prepared to continue. And we need to reduce the fragmentation, strengthen the connections between different educational pathways, and also bring employers better on board. And that is also what we are currently doing with our vocational education system. Now, the reform as such consists curriculum reforms, extended study duration, new concepts for secondary education. Again, much emphasis on cross-disciplinary skills and comprehensive, but at the same time individualized curricula. We also reform our school network, profile our schools, profile based on competencies, and consolidate somewhat the school network due to the demographic challenges Estonia is facing. And we believe that in these regions where the population is decline, we have no other way than to build regional education centers which would be able to provide wide range of learning pathways. Few words also on compulsory learning age. Well, just to I guess everybody knows that 100 years ago, 4 or 5 years in the schools was considered to be enough. Since 3 decades, we have had the compulsory learning age of 16 years. Now we see that this is not enough, and after basic education, we encourage everybody to continue the studies in upper secondary or in vocational education, and really tackle or introduce new measures of leaving school too early. One way to do it is to integrate better the non-formal and formal education. To put it very rough, why kids lose interest? Why kids lose interest, and why learners or or why aren't we able as a system to keep up the curiosity? And it's a very central question of our educational systems, and we believe that one way to tackle it is to really promote things which or subjects which have triggered the internal curiosity of the learner, and the integration of non-formal and formal education is the key to retain the curiosity. Now, let me jump to the conclusions. The Estonia's future workforce must be capable of adapting, learning, and creating value. That, I guess, is universal to all education systems. And the context is very dynamic and very competition-driven. And this to achieve this goal, a very strong foundation of core skills is required at all levels of education. And this is confirmed by both OSCA and PIAC I was referring to. We are going to conduct the vocational education reform and continue the discussions about unified upper secondary education in order to bridge the gap between general and vocational training. And the central message is clear. The workforce of the future can only be realized by unifying general and vocational education and investing in the development of core skills. And this indeed calls for collaborative efforts across all sectors to build inclusive and forward-looking educational system. Thank you very much for your attention. My time is up, and I wish you a good discussion ahead.
Thank you, Renno. We actually have time for a few questions, and I see questions actually popping up here. So, how can companies and employers contribute to ensuring that graduates from both general and vocational education possess the core skills needed at the workplace?
I would bring up two issues. They are characteristic for Estonia, but I guess they are somewhat also universal. First, actually, the understanding that core skills are important is not yet that deep as it could be. So sometimes we see in our discussions with employers that certain controversies. The bigger employers actually understand very well the importance of core competencies, whereby the small and medium-sized companies still insist strengthening the particular professional skills. So the consolidated universal understanding has to be promoted, or that is what the associations of employers are expected to how they can contribute, and more on a practical level. In Estonia, we call the employers to open their facilities for practical learning, so training at workplace. So, and although this, as such, as an idea, is very well known for years, actually doing it in a manufacturing company is not that simple at all. And often the employers refer various restrictions, starting from work and safety regulations, which they refer as too strict, and many other aspects. Anyway, in Estonia, we very much believe that bringing the employers into decision-making boards on all levels, on various steering committees and school management boards, is a key or way to these solutions.
I think we can take one more question. Generative AI is described as an evolutionary challenge to humans. So which core skills should we really prioritize to stay ahead of AI rather than simply adapt to it?
Very difficult question. Very difficult question, and I'm not claiming that I have a 100% right answer. But to my understanding, the analytical thinking and creativity are two characteristics which must be or should have central in the very focus of our educational programs or in everything what we do in teaching to promote analytical thinking and creativity. And these two are the qualities which help or which then complement AI or at least provide or how to say these are the skills which are so universal that with a high probability the person who possesses these skills can make use of AI today, tomorrow, and years ahead.
Renno, we have 1 more minute left. So if Estonia is extending compulsory education to until 18 years, how will you guarantee that students don't just stay in school longer, but actually remain motivated and engaged rather than passively so-called stored in the system?
Well, that's a very important question, and indeed, that question has come up when we introduced the compulsory learning age. But let's not call it a compulsory learning, but let's present it as an opportunity to everybody to continue the learning path.
And that will solve the problem?
No, that is not actually solving the problem. The one option to actually solve the problem is not to push the kids to do something they dislike. So if they change, what we see often is even changing the institution, leaving the particular school they have started to dislike. And going to another school, changing the environment is often, contributing of finding the interest or curiosity. Of course, we need to strengthen also the support staff in our schools to work with very good social skills, that actually the learners would be awakened in a way, or not with a force, but more pushing on interests, that they would find something which they really like to do and build on this. So it requires a very good collaboration between the homes, the local communities, and between the institutions. And that's the network we are currently building up.
Renno Veinthal, thank you so much for the great presentation.
Thank you so much.